We could have guessed. Look who it is. Iron Man using his jet skates. Those transistor-powered wheels of his can do 200 miles an hour. Iron Man's roller skates. He's had them almost since he first debuted. And yet they were implemented so casually that they're oft forgotten. And not only that, sometimes people can't pinpoint when exactly they came from. Let me take you on the birth of this whim, for it was random. I was supposed to be doing the DC Tim Pride special, where there were some interesting characterization choices. Also Jurassic League 2, which was awesome. Even more dinosaurs. Dino Reverse Flash, the Reverse Slash. Maybe a look at Vixen's origin, or a look at Wonder Man, because suddenly he's gonna be in the MCU. Time of recording. Wonder Woman's golden age bondage girdle that brainwashed you. But then I posted some panels from Iron Man, the run that began in 2020. This from issue 20, where Patsy, aka Hellcat, rejected Tony's marriage proposal. Thank goodness. One of the panels I included was Tony on his roller skates, which ignited a debate as to when he'd gotten them. People had various answers, and it made me want to talk about it. So I threw everything else aside to answer the burning question of just when did Iron Man get his roller skates? Priorities. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from news comics new and old to history to anecdotes, truly wherever our whims take us. I'm Sasha, and Iron Man go brr. Iron Man, Tony Stark, first debuted in Tales of Suspense number 39 in 1963 and was created by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Jack Kirby, and Don Heck. The goal with Iron Man was to create a businessman superhero. Lee stated, "I think I gave myself a dare. It was the height of the Cold War. The readers, the young readers, if there was one thing they hated, it was war. It was the military. So I got a hero who represented that to the 100th degree. He was a weapons manufacturer. He was providing weapons for the army. He was rich. He was an industrialist. I thought it would be fun to take the kind of character that nobody would like, none of our readers would like, and shove him down their throats and make them like him. And he became very popular." I think Marvel needs to work on the making people like him again part. Stop having people yell at him constantly and nearly drive him back to alcoholism. Iron Man's popularity has vacillated quite hard and trended towards C-list despite his history for quite some time, until the MCU. And even after, he still struggled in comics form. That is after an initial boost in interest again. It's not to say that he's not a prominent or well-known character, but popular, that varies a lot. Knowing who a character is and them being important doesn't necessarily equate to them being popular. Also, there was a period after the MCU began to really rise to popularity where people just wrote Iron Man as if he was Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man. That was interesting. It's an interesting time to be Iron Man. Tony's been on adventures over at Marvel Comics. But it was in Tales of Suspense number 40 in 1963 that roller skates would join that journey. This issue was written by Stan Lee and Robert Bernstein, with pencils by Jack Kirby and inks by Don Heck. The colors were by Stan Goldberg. The cover promises that Iron Man will battle Gargantus, and also showcases his new golden armor, but doesn't talk about it on the cover, which, given the amount of hype over everything they can find on these covers usually, is a bit shocking. Am I not supposed to be excited about the gold? The cover didn't tell me to be, so I'm not going to be. Where's my hype stand? As for the roller skates themselves, they're introduced in the first few panels. They're our cold open, part of what starts as defining Tony as a person. Anthony Stark is a man who leads 3 lives. He is recognized throughout the world as a mechanical genius. So these roller skates are something that Tony invented for the US military to help in their fight in the Cold War. You mean these roller skates will enable an entire infantry division to race down a highway at 60 miles an hour? Precisely, General. The skates can easily be carried in a pack and are collapsible. They can be clamped on the sole of a boot with an ordinary skate key. But where these skates differ from toys lies in the fact that they have tiny transistor-powered engines to drive the skate wheels. Minutes later, the GIs demonstrate. Did they modify anything about the armor for the increased speeds? Tony? Incredible! Infantry can now transport itself on highways without trucks. This will revolutionize troop movements. You're a military genius, Stark. A genius? No, General. Just a scientist who realizes the boundaries of science are infinite. He puts his skates on 1 foot at a time, like any man. Also, perhaps later he could sell a less powerful version for commercial use. Gotta think ahead. A futurist. That's the role they play in this story. It's very much a throwaway moment. This is about Tony trying to find a balance with his life as Tony Stark and as Iron Man, and also about him having to plug himself into the wall to recharge the plate protecting his heart. He's not on that sweet 5G connection yet. Also, in this issue, people are terrified of Iron Man's armor. Not because of how robotic looking it is. It does have a very automaton look, and plenty of sci-fi of the time was wary of robots. No, it's because it's ugly. Oh, how dreadful looking he is. Mama, save me from the ugly man. Oh, come on, it's not that bad. Anyway, he paints it gold. Just bedazzle it. Put some sparkle on it, then people will love it. His more familiar red and gold armor debuts in Tales of Suspense number 48. It was redesigned by Steve Ditko, and overall artists seemed to prefer this version. This was because it was easier to draw in action and it was less bulky and had a more modern look. But the roller skates would first be seen being worn by him in his classic now golden armor in Tales of Suspense number 45, also in 1963. In this one, Iron Man is fighting Jack Frost, who would later rebrand himself as Blizzard. I don't know, which is the less threatening villain name? Being associated with a character from folklore, who, you could go a bit dark with it, or being associated with either a winter storm or a frozen treat that they can't legally call ice cream. At least not here in Canada, because there's too much oil byproduct in it. You need a certain amount of dairy to be able to be called ice cream. As the cover proclaims, Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts debut in this issue as well, so there's much more going on than Tony's skates. Once more they feature right at the beginning. Tony breezes by some men on motorcycles on his transistor-powered roller skates. The speed. We could have guessed, look who it is, Iron Man using his jet skates. Those transistor-powered wheels of his can do 200 miles an hour. Oh, did they get upgraded, or did he just not give the military the best version? Or can he go faster because he has actual armor, so he can increase the speeds without going splat? And that's it. He zips by them and they assume he's off to stop a criminal of some kind. But he's actually supposed to drive in a race as Tony Stark. So he's racing to get to his race. Ha! I'm sorry, I'll leave now. In the same time period, there is another instance of jet skates, this one in Strange Tales Annual number 2. Also in 1963, which features some great Human Torch and Spider-Man sassing each other moments, and a great scene at the start where Johnny is upset by all of Spider-Man's good press. It was early in Spider-Man's lore. That, and I guess Johnny doesn't have a subscription to the Daily Bugle. You gotta read the Spider-Man hate there. In this story, the villain, the Fox, whose name is Reinhard Slinker, so really he had no choice but to pursue a life of crime, is seen activating a pair of what seems to be Tony's special military-grade roller skates to make his getaway. It doesn't help though. 60 miles an hour my foot. Is it the same type of roller skates, or is it not? It's not exactly highlighted. It's kind of fun to make the connection though and assume that maybe they are. I mean, they work the exact same way. Then you get to wonder, how did he get his hands on them? Are Tony's efforts to aid in the Cold War proving troublesome for Spider-Man and the Human Torch? Find out next issue! Now, as for the roller skates as they pertain to Tony and other people wearing his Iron Man armor after Tales of Suspense number 45, they become a bit difficult to track for one simple reason. This is because they become viewed as part of his armor. They're kind of incorporated into it and just become one of the things that his armor can do. This rather than make something independent. So sometimes they'll track items independently, this on wikis and the like, but as soon as they fold all up in there, they start tracking his armor model. So you just kind of have to assume that most of his armors can do this. Or at least the older ones. In this way, the roller skates become something that can be brought up when creators feel like it, be it seriously or for a joke, which means they've popped up sporadically over the decades. Rarely for long moments, but they do tend to be noteworthy or amusing when it does happen. Secret Wars pops into mind, where Rhodey also partook of the roller skates, or Avengers 94, where Iron Man utilized an armor featuring them to defeat the Mandroids. It's one of those things, when Tony invents it in Tales of Suspense number 40, he's super proud of it, so it makes sense that it would be something he would incorporate into his own armor. However, there was always something a bit amusing about this supposedly high-powered Iron Man zipping around on roller skates, transistor-powered as they may be. And as Tony's armors got more and more stacked, there is less and less reason for him to use this feature. Still, there is something very nostalgic about seeing them depicted, and they instantly do highlight a connection with some older Iron Man lore. I mean, in Iron Man 20 from 2022, when he's zipping through the city on them, proclaiming how fun they are while his mask projects pure dead inside energy, and people cower away in seeming terror, it's pretty amusing. In this story, they play it like a lot of his newer systems aren't working at the moment, so he has to activate some of the older ones. It's meant to be a sillier moment, and overall it works, even if there is a bit of a disconnect with the tone of the scene and the art, which doesn't exactly convey the we're having fun with nostalgic references vibe. So that's the origin of Iron Man's roller skates. They've been with him almost since the start, and they were invented to help fight communism. Because the strategy is just gotta go fast. Where was the first time you saw these skates, or had you ever seen them before? And what's your favorite moment with them? I've been so tempted throughout this whole time to say Tony on ice, but there's no reason for it. I'm telling you anyway though, it's just been flashing through my mind. Is it too silly for your blood, or do you like when it pops up every here and there? Or every now and again, rather. Share your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.